Hello there, and welcome to the CP7 Podcast. My name's Palm,
And I'm Andy.
and together we are Chrono Passion 7. Hello, and welcome to your favorite watch-related podcast. Well, today we are just going to chill out and just shoot the breeze. No guests, just me and Andy. Andy, what are we talking about today?
It's been so long, right? We've had so many amazing guests. I think it's important to let the listeners know maybe that we've been so busy in the background, right? With a backlog of interviews. So we have a lot of great content coming your way. But we just felt it's just time for the duo, right? Just to kick back and talk everything, talk what's on our mind, watches and everything else. So what's happening in the industry at the moment? There's Obviously, we're maybe a little bit late to the Patek Cubitus story, but we will get into it and share our
Patek
opinions.
party.
Yeah, the
Late to the
Patek
Patek party, yeah.
Yeah, fashionably late, I would say.
Fashionably late,
You know,
indeed.
let's take our time, draw our thoughts, assess the situation, and not overreact, and then bring the best information. So anyway, we get into all of that good stuff, but of course we need to do that wristwatch check. So Palm, you go first. What's on the wrist today?
Well, I've got a few in for review, but until Andy gets them, we're not going to talk about those. Today, I have got my Rolex Explorer 2, the Polar Dial Explorer 2, a watch which I've been interchanging with the Tank recently, 1 or 2 days in the last couple of weeks, but this seems to just stay on the wrist. It just doesn't come off. It's stuck on. So yeah, that's what I've got on my wrist.
Yeah, it's a brilliant watch. I actually got to try it. I was recently in London. At the time of this recording, it was last weekend, right? At this
Watch
time,
Pro.
last
Yeah.
weekend, we were
Exactly
having a lot
this
of
time.
fun. Yeah. But I got to see the Polar in the metal and your Polar, of course, right? So it was cool to check it out. I can definitely see why it's something that you don't want to, because what else do you need, really? It goes back to that classic one and done. Could it be? Probably not for people like ourselves, but it's a great watch. It could definitely fit for
Yeah.
many people. Yeah.
If someone asks me which Rolex should I get, I don't want to spend ridiculous amounts of money, but it's expensive. But I want one that just does the most. I mean, no one needs a chronograph, really. I would say, no one's going to get a Daytona, to be honest with you. I would say get the Explorer 2 black or white dial, because it's got the GMT function, it's got the date, it's super legible and super tough, and just under the radar. Not under the radar. Under the radar might be a bit too much, but it's just
Satin finished. It's not overly flash, but the quality is superb. The Oyster bracelet is
the best.
Modern Oyster bracelets are just unbeatable in my opinion. It brings back memories of the Air King when I tried it, and I'm like, yeah, I remember my first time trying, a modern Rolex, let's say. What more do you need? Like, it does everything.
I don't know.
It has the quality, it has the name, it has the stealth, but it has the statement as well.
It's also the last surviving Rolex proper tool watch. It's never been made in two-tone or full gold. It's retained its toughness.
So I guess that leads to mine.
So, yeah, Andy,
what am I wearing?
Got on your wrist? Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Rolex 7 podcast. I'm also wearing Rolex today, which is no surprise. I'm wearing the new Turnograph, or new to me Turnograph, the 1625. I have mentioned this in previous shows, which have been recorded but not released yet. So apologies for any confusion there, because you will hear me mention it in other shows when I just received the watch. But it's still relatively new. I've only had it a few weeks, it feels like, because it had a small chip in the crystal, and it went off to my watchmaker for a bit of love and a new crystal, an original Rolex crystal for that exact reference, and it just looks superb now. Similar to Palm, I can't take it off my wrist. I just love it. I think I was saying off air just before we hit record, actually, and we're like, let's save it for the show. I think I've discovered a bit more about myself, and I like a bit of gold on my watch. And I don't want to sound snobby when I say that. It's just something, a certain quality to the material what I enjoy, and I like that little bit of sparkle on my wrist. And I think two-tone, as much as it's not the most popular, let's say, format these days, for me personally, I think it's the perfect balance of having a little bit of flash, but not being over the top as if you went with all gold. You kind of get that satisfaction of the gold there, a little bit of bling, but it tones down with the steel. So I think I'm turning into a bit of a two-tone guy. I like it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with two-tone, but I don't understand why it's not as hot as steel, because you're getting more value in the materials, but hey, that's the crazy watch industry which we are within, right?
It is. There's a price on two. I love two tone, but I think maybe the price puts people off because it is a lot more than a full steel. The gold will cost. People kind of think, "Oh, do I want to spend that much on this, or do I want the
If
other
you're
one?"
buying at
Yeah.
yeah, at
You have to
retail, right?
specifically like two tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in any watch, not just Rolex, anything. And I think
Mm.
if you specifically like two tone, which is what it's becoming now, rather than I'll go on, then I'll have it. It's just because people do get put off the price sometimes on a two tone because you are paying a few grand more. Yeah, a few thousand more.
Yeah, it depends what angle you come from, right? So me being the vintage guy somewhat, it's not much of an issue for me because I can get two-tone at a great price point. However, if you're buying at retail, I think that's where you get a bit more spooked. That's where I can understand it. Like the two-tone Explorer depreciates quite a bit, for example, I believe. And yeah, then that's when steel is more appealing, maybe.
Yeah, that two tone Explorer is a kind of a
Doesn't
oxymoron
make
of a
sense,
watch, isn't it?
really.
Yeah, it's a
I was offered it
full
actually.
watch.
Yeah, I was
Oh, there you
offered
go.
the
You'd have
two-tone.
bought it.
Yeah, and I turned it down. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Hypocritical. Yeah.
Two
Um,
tone, 36
but
mil.
yeah, but the reason with that was just you're right. Why didn't I go for it? The price. I can't remember what it was. It was like 11K or 12K euros or something. That sounded about right. And yeah, basic almost double the price of the standard Explorer, just
Yeah,
for the gold in there. So yeah, I can from a new purchasing perspective, I completely get why two tone's not as popular. Going vintage, however, it's great value because it doesn't cost any more really.
I think with vintage as well, that two tone is part of the vintage appeal, right? Do you get many two tone snobs in the vintage space, or I thought that was kind
Probably
of
not.
historical kind of style?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much if you're into vintage, you pretty much accept it because it's a big part of that era, right? Of the 60s onwards, it got pretty even in the 90s. I think two tone was quite popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for jewelry. I think because jewelry was two tone, and then it obviously followed suit into watches. That two tone became a thing, so it's not full gold, and that's why I think I first got into the two tone watches I have. Is they weren't full gold, and they went sometimes all steel, maybe more desirable and more inflated in price in the aftermarket, but it just is a bit too boring sometimes just to be all steel. And I think two tone gives it that extra bit of sparkle and bit of
Exactly that. It
yeah,
gives a bit of pop, a bit of shine.
dresses it up. It dresses it up
Yeah,
nicely.
yeah, and you can wear it. You can dress it down quite well. So going back to the
Mm.
1625, the turnograph, it can look quite under the radar. Yeah, you wear it with a suit like I did last week, and it looks absolute quality. So it really fits into different scenarios. As again, all gold is all just it's all or nothing. So it's a big statement in general, unless it's dull gold, and then who wants to wear unpolished gold? What's the point? Uh, and then obviously steel can look kind of dressy if it's polished very well, of course. Like if you look at the Royal Oak, it's quite bling, even though it's steel. So again, it's more just enjoying that yellow gold look. I think it's for some reason maybe it's the Mediterranean weather. It seems to match my skin tone relatively well. Somebody complimented me on that actually in at Watch Pro. So no, it doesn't normally go, with a typical English guy's skin tone, but yeah, it seems to work with
I'm
us.
not
And like,
commenting on that. It wasn't me who said it. So
yeah.
before anyone says anything, it wasn't me.
No,
Wasn't me.
but yeah, I was like, yeah, it's just because I get more sun exposure, That's why. Anyway, that's what I'm wearing. Long story short. But yeah, it's a great watch. Really, really love it. Great condition, and the Pixby, of course, on the website. So plug in the website nice and early. Make sure to check it out. Go to www.chronopassion7, as in the number 7.com, and you get all of the show notes, all of the great images of everything we discussed today. So that's a wristwatch
And
checks
drop
out of the
some
way, I believe.
comments in there after
Yeah,
the show. Drop some comments in what you think of the show, because it's going to be different. It's we haven't done this for a while, and we're just looking forward to just kicking back, not asking anyone questions. We love interviewing. But it's nice to just have a free flowing show where it just
yeah.
unfolds in front of everyone.
It's great to give industry insights. That's a big part of what
Yeah.
we love doing, but also we just love to kick back and be ourselves a little bit, right?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk. So, what have you been up to, Andy, recently? Apart, how's the weather been over there in Spain?
I only just got home from the Watch Pro last week. My flight was delayed. Well, one, it was changed prior to even like maybe 2 weeks prior to going. Nothing to do with the weather at that stage. And then on the day, I should have been traveling at around 2:10. I was like, that's a great time. Get back to Barcelona around 4 or 5 o'clock. Have a nice evening to just late afternoon, evening, whatever, to chill out, decompress somewhat. And that went out of the window. So it was like 7:30, I think, once we finally took off and got home around 10:30, 11 o'clock. So yeah, that went out of the window somewhat. Just due to the crazy weather we've had here, like in Valencia, it's been far worse. So yeah, if any of our listeners are from that region, send them the best wishes, because it's been very tough in that part of Spain. Very lucky in Barcelona, it's not been as bad, but literally the whole airport was flooding on Monday. That was insane. Like, over people like literally paddling in the airport. It's
Wow.
crazy.
What was the mood like? Because how was the reception like that in Barcelona? Because in the UK, obviously, it's a news story, and you kind of think, okay, that's not happening here. That's tragic, but okay, it doesn't impact us. Go on. So yeah. So how was it in Spain? It must have been quite, uh, a tough time for the country.
Definitely, yeah. And I was a little cut off from it, right? Because it was all happening while I was in London, which strangely enough were great weather for that time of year in London. And it hit me, obviously, when flying back, how many times my flight was delayed, of course. Then Monday, it was just pitch black. And then all of a sudden, an alarm went off on my phone, but not like a normal alarm. It was like national emergency kind of thing, where basically the government takes over your phone. A notification pops up and a big siren starts playing on your phone, and you're like, gosh, makes you jump out your skin because you don't know what it is. And you're like, what's going on? And then it's just a warning for the next 3 hours, not basically don't go outside because of the severe weather. And it was absolutely bouncing. It was insane. As I say, to the point where the actual airport flooded inside. So there were people with the suitcases, like paddling, taking the shoes off,
Wow.
like yeah, crazy.
Yeah, because I remember you sent before you left. Actually, it was quite extreme. You sent me a picture. You said, "Oh, there's a typhoon here now," and I've obviously never seen a typhoon. And then you just sent me this photo. I don't know if it was out the media or was it out your window. Where did that come from?
Oh no, that was some friend sent me that. Yeah, there was like a typhoon going on just out where the W hotel is, like out at
Oh, right, on the
the yeah.
beachfront. Yeah.
Yeah, we had warnings, we had alerts saying that, like, yeah, it's weather what we're not used to, put it like that. It's not weather, it's not
I
very normal.
was thinking when you sent me that photo of the typhoon. I mean, that's extreme, and and for everyone who suffered, my heart goes
Yeah,
out to everyone. Hope everyone who's listening from that region is safe and we're not too overly impacted by that extreme weather. But when Andy sent me and I'm not making light of the situation, it's just that when Andy sent me the picture of the typhoon, And he said, "Yeah, but I heard it's clearing up tomorrow." I was kind of like, head in hands, like,
Yeah, Vic,
not sure.
that was just before flying to London, right? I was like, yeah, it'd be
Yeah,
fine.
it was the afternoon before flying to London in
Yeah.
the morning, and it was like, that's a
I,
typhoon. It's not.
it was just
It's
look.
not
I
a bit of
literally
rain. Yeah.
I was on the Monday, like the day after I got back, over 70 flights cancelled due to just the airport being flooded out and the weather. And I think it was similar the day of that typhoon, or a lot of flights cancelled as well. So I literally just squeezed in. Like Watch Pro might have been off the cards, so very, very lucky. I managed to get there and back, but there was no turbulence actually. Everything was fine. Anyway, but yeah, it's been crazy. Now it seems to have cleared up past, and yeah, all my watches are safe. They're not floating around in the apartment, so it's all good. So yeah,
Not being washed away by
doing a
the
bit
sea
crazy, but I think
in
people are.
Barcelona.
There's a sigh of relief now. Yeah, put it like that. I think we've seen the light at the end of the tunnel.
Cool. I
Yeah,
mean, that's good. I'm glad everyone's safe and there's no more horror stories apart from
yeah.
and we won't mention politics. Yeah. So, what have you been up to, Palm? Well, I've had a bad watch week. So we had Watch Pro. So we met up last week. We are recording tonight on a Friday, and it was last week Thursday that we met Jose from Isotope Watches, and we had some lunch. He kindly treated us to some lunch, very generous of him, in London, and showed us some, oh my god, some super cool watches. Some of the newer pieces he's got out, and even a watch that is yet to be released. But when you hear about the technique that is used making that dial and the materials they use, it is literally like, wow, there's so much going on in the creative watch space. There just seems like there's no limit. Yeah, we saw him, and then the next day was Watch Pro. We had an earlier appointment with a watch brand before Watch Pro, so we had to get there extra early. We had Watch Pro, but like I said, I had Watch Pro for 2 days. Had a bit of a break, and he went home. And then this week, I went to see Grand Seiko with the Oracle Time guys. Shout out to Sam, Mark, and Tom from Oracle Time, top guys. With Red Bar and the limited edition, I saw Chapek. So shout out to everyone at Red Bar Southeast, because they always put on a good event. Shout out to Pietro from the limited edition as well, because the shows he puts on are incredible. Got to see Xavier again as well, and got some. If you know Xavier, he's just such a funny guy, and I've got some really funny pictures. We'll put them on the website. Check him out on the show notes. He's just such a playful guy, shall we say? And then today, on a previous watch event at Panerai, thanks to Oracle Time again. They're just the top people that these days. Oracle Time again. Shout out to you. I won a watchmaker masterclass with Panerai, so I went back there today and I did that, which was actually very eye opening. And just seeing the guys,
What did you
seeing the
do
watch,
actually? Because you're not telling me yet. Did you make a watch? Or put a movement together?
took a movement apart and then put it back together, and all the bits. So it was difficult. Yeah. So
But you managed to do it more or less, or
just about with a bit of help, I managed to screw
yeah,
the screws in. If that's a
well, that's
real,
good.
if that makes me a watchmaker, then a watchmaker
It's a
am I.
start.
But yeah, no, but you drop the plates in the right. It's just so much to do. It's just they gave a larger movement than they usually would. The watchmaker was just saying the screws are so tiny for
Even for
these.
them.
This is done by people with years of experience. This isn't like
Yeah.
something you just pick up and go with. It's so they have a test one as well. So I did that, and it's really cool talking to the watchmaker, and cool talking to Dario at Panerai in the New Bond Street boutique. If you're ever in New Bond Street, look up Dario, the manager there. Really cool guy, top guy. And before that, I went to pick up some review watches from the new Time and Tide shop, which is really interesting. I did see Andrew McCutcheon there, but he was with some customers, so I did get a chance to talk to him. Yeah, so that was a nice experience. Got 2 review watches from a brand which, again, we will talk about in a later show, once Andy's had some hands-on review time with them as well. They do some really cool stone dials and some nice sunburst dials also. That's been like 4 days, 3-4 days of non-stop. Well, this week, 3 days of non-stop watch events. Last
Heavy.
week, 3 days of non-stop watch events. I think I had like 2 days in between, and I went out the Tuesday night as well. Had quite a late one, so it's been quite mental. But the funny thing is, before that, I was just chilling out. There was nothing going on for ages, and I got to catch up with a lot of television. And this is probably the best time for TV, because normally to get one decent show on, it's like huge. But at the moment, you've got the reboot of Frasier, which is getting much better. It started off a bit ropey. It's the second season, and I'm beginning to really like it because they're bringing more of the old characters back in. And then there's a show, season 2 of The Tulsa King, which comes on Paramount, which has Sylvester Stallone in it, and it's just probably one of the coolest show, I'd say.
Yeah, I've
On
been toying with watching that. I've not seen the first season yet. I can. It's on
you've got to
Amazon,
watch it.
so I can
Is it
watch
on
it.
Amazon in thingy? Okay, because
Yeah,
it's on Paramount here. In the first season, he wears a Piaget polo, classic
yeah,
70s Piaget polo,
very cool.
and it just
Cool gangster.
Stallone. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You never had him down as a gangster, but he does it so well, especially
yeah.
at the '70s, in his
At
70s,
the
I
age
think,
he's
isn't he?
at, yeah, he kind of
Yeah,
grown
and
into the role. Yeah,
he just looks so cool. The ultimate show, though, if anyone wants to see something, it's an HBO show. It's called The Penguin, and it's a Batman-inspired character, but it is unbelievable. It's Colin Farrell in a rubber suit, basically, to make him look older and carrying a lot more weight and having a lot less hair and a scarred up face, and he is unbelievable. I think if this show doesn't win a whole load of awards next year or whenever the award ceremonies are coming up, that's a travesty, because you don't know it's him, and all the characters are so strong, and there's no need for Batman in it because it stands up by itself. And
yeah.
ironically, in the last Batman film, they actually had, I didn't realize, I can't remember, I'd seen it, and the Penguin character is actually in there, so they actually lifted that character out of it
Okay.
and gave his background, well, a background story on him. If there's one TV show you want to see, if you don't want to see Frasier, you don't want to see The Tulsa King, watch The Penguin. It's
Watch.
dark, it's chilling, it's unbelievable. I'm a
Sounds cool.
Batman fan, but I wouldn't watch a television program just because of that. I like the movies.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is the extent that it goes to. And I run around at night with a suit and a mask on. But nothing, no, not too obsessed.
Yeah.
But no, you should check it out, Andy. I don't know if they have it over there in Barcelona.
I'm able to access it somehow, I think. I haven't been watching a lot of TV stuff myself. As I say, I was tempted with Tulsa King as well. I've seen loads of clips, and yes, it's my kind of. It's kind of it's a bit more in depth than Reacher, but that classic kind of bit of kick ass in there as well, which
Oh,
is
Reacher, yeah.
I'm eagerly awaiting the season 3 of Reacher. But I started watching this very recently, Yakuza, this Japanese mafia, basically. I think it's based on an old video game or something, but it gets a little confusing because it kind of gives you the backstory, which is like 1995, and then it fast forwards to 2005, and it keeps doing it. So if you don't pay attention for a few minutes, you're like, hang on a minute, where am I? Is it 1995 or is it 2005? So that bit's a bit weird. It's always throwing you back and forth through the years. But if you pay attention, it's quite fun. And it's interesting with it. It's all Japanese actors and stuff. It's quite fun. Quite a bit of action in there as well.
Oh, there's subtitles in it.
No, well, I think it's overdubbed with like American
Okay.
accents, but
I
it's
see,
pretty
right.
cool. Yeah,
I need to
bit
check that out.
different.
That sounds like something I'd like. Yeah.
Easy. Well, I say easy watching. It's not easy watching with a year change. Like literally, it jumps 10 years forward or back, and it does it many times throughout each episode to give you the background behind each character. Like I wouldn't say it's Oscar worthy, or any kind of nominee worthy. It's
Emmy
Reacher
winning,
level.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
Emmys, they do,
Reacher
yeah.
level kind of acting level, So it's all right, but it's not like wow. It's just easy. Something easy to kick back and
Okay.
watch.
This is one of those leave your brain at the door and just chill out and relax.
A little bit, apart from the year changes. That's the only bit what you've got
Okay,
to kind
yeah.
of pay attention to.
Engage. Yeah.
Yeah,
Time to engage.
that's how they
But,
keep you focused. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yakuza style is the colours over over the suit jacket.
Oh, is that
Kind of
okay?
funny. Oh, that era at least, yeah. Like the Japanese gangsters. So
Yeah,
like
they
having
chop
the
each
full.
other. They chop their little finger off, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Half
There's
their little
one.
finger off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's one where one guy gets caught stealing,
I
and
thought it was initiation. Is it not like that? So the initiation into the
well,
Yakuza
that's
was
the
that you had to.
initiation, yeah. But then the
Mm.
guy basically is these four orphans who stole money from a casino, and they didn't know it was a Yakuza casino. So then it's like, okay, you messed up now. And then one guy's quite a good fighter, so he's like, I'll fight for you in this fighting championship thing. So he was spared. And then like the other guy, they were like, he's useless. Let's just basically bump him off. He was like begging, please, no, no, I'll chop my finger off to show my dedication. And then he did it in front of him. It's quite gory. And they're like, okay, you've got some balls, so you can join us. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's what I've been watching. Quite gory.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think they are wearing some kind of watches, but it doesn't ever zoom in to emphasize them or anything. So no idea what they're wearing. Probably like fake Rolexes.
Yeah, I
Who
mean,
knows?
there's so many shows like Tulsa King. You see a lot of fake Rolexes in that.
Yeah,
The mob guys, yeah, they're cool, they're nice, but then you could a lot of two tone actually.
yeah.
But you do think no, those aren't real. But
Prop.
surprisingly, with Fraser, I would have thought he'd have some like Vacheron or some independent brand. You don't know what watch
Yeah.
he wears either because he's quite a classy guy. But no, he's a made up character. I know. Sorry,
No, yeah,
but
that's true. Yeah, but you'd think, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, watches. Shall we start talking
Let's
about
talk about
watches?
watches. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just talk about watches.
No, talk
Where do we
Patek.
begin?
I'm gonna get into the
Patek.
Patek.
Let's talk Patek Cubitus. What do you think? What's your take on the Cubitus?
Where do I begin? My first impression was I'm not sure if I like it. Forget everything else. I just stylistically, what did I like it? I wasn't sure. And then once that's when it was a bit of a leak, and then it growed into the actual product, and press were starting to put all the proper images on Instagram. I think it was Christian Hagen where I first saw a proper cool wrist shot, and then I'm like, okay, I can see it now. Because the first thing, criticisms aside, just looking at it as a watch for a watch, forget everything else. The first thing what kind of surprised me was the 45mm. I don't know about yourself. I was like, that's quite a large
Yeah,
size. It's quite
considering everyone's going smaller, that was
the
a
trend is
big
small.
surprise.
Yeah. So that was very surprising. And then I'm like, well, could I criticize it? Is 45mm a timeless design? We'll find out with it being Patek most likely. But then I've come to learn through the experience within the industry that you can't judge everything by size, whether it's a small size, what you don't think you'd normally go for, or a large size. Because
It sounds quite funny what you're saying, but
probably
sorry,
does.
put my
Speaking,
schoolboy sense of humor away. You carry on. You carry
I,
on with your mature
I'm with
conversation.
you now. Yeah, sorry. So Andy, let's continue. Uh, but then I'd be hypocritical to say like, oh, it's too big, it's 45mm, because then a watch what I really enjoy, if money was no object, is like the Jacob and Co. SF24, which is a large watch. It's huge, but it's cool. So then I like it. So then that's what I'm trying to get at. Does the size really matter if it looks good? So getting past the 45, I think the only bit what started to get me a bit was the statement from Terry Stern, where it was basically everybody who's criticizing this watch will never own the Patek and never will kind of statement. And it's a bit hard to know how to take that. And I think it was received in many different ways. I think it upset some proper collectors of Patek, who we know actually. So I always linked Patek with class, and I thought that lacked a little bit of class. That's all. I'm not having a big dig at him, but when I think Patek Philippe, I think refinement, and I don't think that was such a refined statement from such a maison, let's say. Then the only other disappointments, just to finish my feelings on the piece before handing over to Palms, which I'm sure you've got as much to say. Like the biggest disappointment was the caliber. You've got to think it's been 4 years in development. There was no special caliber formulated for the watch whatsoever. So it's got the 26-330, which is the same as what's in the standard Nautilus. So it's like, okay, so you've not done any innovation on the movement whatsoever. It has the caliber 240 PS in the platinum, with the moon phase and day date. So, like that, I could understand keeping because that's more of a complex movement to build from a ground up. But when you've got an exhibition case back, could you not have made a square movement to accommodate the full case and really show your level of expertise in watchmaking to populate it? Like Cartier do it. They even did it with the Santos, with the pendulum, with the plane, right, on the skeletonized Santos. So it's just a little bit. Is it a little bit lazy? That's why I don't dislike it. I think it's probably quite cool. I'd like to try one on. I'm not against it. It doesn't blow me away. But again, I'm probably not the customer ever for that watch anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's the most attractive Patek I've seen, but I do think it's cool at the same time. But I do think maybe it was a little bit of a lazy release for the points what I've just mentioned. But I'm interested to see what you think, Palm.
Yeah, I echo a lot what you said there. I think that's not just general opinion, but that is a genuine thought. I think there's so many things here that are eye-opening here. Let's just take, say, Patek represents class. It does. It's the brand that you look to for the ultimate in sophistication and refinement. But with the Nautilus being so dominant, I like the Nautilus as an amazing sports watch. But with that being so dominant and the hype around it, did Patek kind of lose that from there anyway? And like even the advertising, have you seen the new advertising for it? It's a lot younger crowd. It's this cool party crowd. I mean, it wasn't the audience you thought Patek would be pitching to. It was a little bit douchey, pretty people with lovely hair and cool clothes and just a bit too shiny. And I think Patek isn't shiny; it's sophisticated. And I do think that kind of the signs were there, like they did the Nautilus with the denim strap. They are trying to get into a younger audience.
New money.
What new money and money?
Yeah.
You got to stay
Money
afloat,
and new money.
right?
Yeah.
So it's I think the new money has been in there for a long time anyway. Like I say, with the Nautilus's Aquanauts, it's sports stars, music stars. The signs were kind of there, but this kind of underlined that this is kind of happening. It's almost like they feel they need to change in some way into this hip and trendy kind of brand with the sports watches, not because the perpetual calendars, all the highly complicated stuff. That's real Patek to the crowd you mean, but to this newer generation, it's the Nautilus and the Cubitus. They'll be saying, in 5 years, or the Aquanaut, and that could be the thing. I mean, they teased it as well for ages, which was a bit, I think, with my cynical hat on, it was probably leaked on purpose just to get that out there. And I think when people saw it, there's no way they would do that because the shape and the size. And then they did do it. It was almost a kind of like, oh my god, they only went and done it. And we had RJ on, and we talked about AP and why they just stick to the Royal Oak. RJ Brewer from Fratello, And it was quite an interesting comment he made, which made me think again about a lot of the things in this kind of sphere. The dial, everyone complained it's a Nautilus looking dial. It's the same movement. It's this. The 5711 is the one that most people want in that demographic of customer. And if that's what the people want, they've stopped doing the 5711 in steel. It's in precious metal now. The new 5811, is it? They don't do the 5711 anymore. That three-hander isn't in steel. The 5811 is in precious metal, white gold, etc. So this is the only way you could get that type of sports Patek. And it's, they're not going back. Basically, they're just saying we're not going back to the 57. It will never come back. I guess. I think that's what they're saying. I've got no idea. I'm just a guy sitting on a podcast. But
no, it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to predict. I don't. Yeah, forget everything at the stigma around it. What do you think? Do you like the watch? Do you like the Cubitus? Just for what it is. Forget everything else. Forget movement or whatever.
I'll forget everything else. I'll forget everything Patek collectors have said to me. Some resembles. Like it. But some like it for that reason. So a green 5711 was so hard to get, even for hardcore customers.
Yeah.
So this is the one opportunity they've got to own a green dial, stainless steel sports Patek, and fair enough. If that's what they want, you give the people, and this is what I give the people what they want. And if that's what they want, then give the people what they want. So the complicated 5822 in platinum with the big date. I like big date, but it does seem to be a bit all over the place visually. But again, it's a complicated Patek. I'm not the biggest fan. Okay, let me just stop. The actual question was, do I like it?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not the customer for this anyway. And the shape of it, you mentioned Cartier Santos, is very Cartier Santos. Yeah. And if I was to get a Cartier Santos, I would get the medium because it's more traditional, easier to wear, and not the large. I just don't like it. It's too big for me, for my taste.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can, but then again, with the watch world can condition what you like and what you don't like, with putting it in your face enough and it being exclusive enough. So I don't think that would happen for myself anyway, because I'm not a Patek customer. I'm not the person Thierry Stern is talking about, but it's not that big a deal to me to not have one.
So for me, I think the Cubitus, I found it a little bit goofy looking at first when it grew on me, but if I had to choose, I'd stick with Nautilus or Aquanaut if I was ever to be the Patek customer. I have been a Patek customer, actually. I did have a Calatrava, so I have owned one. Would I own one again after this stigma? Yes, I would, but I think I prefer more of a classic. I prefer that, like we said, sophistication. And the Cubitus, maybe it's exactly what Palm said, it's hitting a different market who's not us. It's that younger, definitely the new money, hip hop kind of movie star scene and people who want the latest trends and stuff like this. And I think it'd be successful because it's brand power, but it's a bit of a pass for me, if I've got to be honest. I appreciate it. I think it's cool. I'm not anti-Cubitus. I'm just not that excited by it yet.
But we say that's the thing. Yet they will shape. The big brands and marketing will shape the way you think about a lot of things. I won't say they're going to shape you to like the Cubitus, but they will. There are things that everyone gets caught out with it, with the whole.
Yeah, and I've not
once you see something enough and enough and enough. Maybe not on celebrities' risks. Who cares about that?
Yeah,
but just you see it enough and enough.
It grows on you.
Out in the wild, I think what might change some people's minds is if they start seeing this out in the wild a lot at parties they go to where they or watch meets at that level. Yeah. When then they might think, okay, it's not too bad actually. But a lot of people who try them on in the boutiques don't like them but then it's just new. Anything new, especially from a brand like Patek, when you do something so new and different, it's going to be met with criticism because it was very left of field for what we thought they were going to do. We didn't know what they were going to do. They did something different. I would rather a Calatrava
Yeah.
just for I need a dress watch. I would get that, and I would probably keep that forever. It wouldn't be something, it would be something that I would
Love.
value and and retain. But I don't think I would want to have myself defined by what watch as a person, what watch I'm wearing. And actually, the new money thing. Actually, here's an interesting one. You say new money, but are these not the children or the grandchildren of old money that can afford these?
That is true. But then if you're just like a pop star or whatever, then
Oh yeah,
that's just new wealth,
but
right?
that's what the youth are into now. All of them, doesn't matter which class
Yeah.
you're into. You are into that
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's
Like, to be clear, I'm not old money. So I'm just a normal guy. I just
not
mean
even
it.
money.
Yeah.
I'm not even
Yeah.
money.
Not even money. Yeah. I don't know, cornflakes. Uh, but I don't know. It's just when you think Patek, you just think that older world, right? But
You do, yeah,
yeah, that
100%.
like you would think old money, as in it very refined and it goes through
Yeah,
that kind of family. But now it's very much similar to AP, which were equally the same. AP and not
yeah,
that old money brand anymore. They're very hip and
flashy.
yeah,
Yeah,
flashy. And I think that's where Patek are going because that's where the market's going and that's where the consumer demand is going. So really, is it the brand's fault? The brands have to sell watches at the end of the day, and if that's what the market wants, that's what the supply, right? They've been in the game for hundreds of years because they know what they're doing, and whether we like it or not doesn't really matter so much, as long as they sell the watches
yeah.
and
Especially
make
not to
yeah,
Thierry Stern.
exactly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I know it sounds a little silly, but it really doesn't matter what we say to brands of this level. They know what they're doing. They've been in the game for years. They know how to spot trends, and
Exactly.
yeah, it is what it
This
is.
is it.
Love it or hate
That's
it.
the
It's
nail
tough
being
love.
hit right on the head there. They know what they're doing. As a brand, it won't fall apart because of the Cubitus being released. I think Thierry Stern's comments were ill-advised, but could he have meant, look, the people that are going to hate this are going to hate anything Patek do? That's what I kind of initially read into it. I haven't read any further into it because I'm not going to obsess about it too much.
Lacked a little bit of class. That's all I'm saying. It's not.
Dignity, yeah,
What
yeah, a bit of
was his
a,
comment wrong
it's,
or right? I'm not saying maybe it's very valid. In all honesty, if we're just being realistic, it's probably quite valid. But is a nicer way to say things, I guess. But
yeah. No,
yeah,
I'm just saying. When I first heard it, I thought, let me play devil's advocate and let me just say, is that what he meant? But I think a lot of people, everyone I've spoken to, I'm probably the only one, has just said, actually, I'm not the only one, has said, yeah, what he did was quite crass, what he said, and it was just unnecessary. And it was basically, who does he think he is? And I think that, but there are Patek people I know who just think, I love Patek. He's a custodian of the brand. It's not,
yeah,
he isn't Patek. And I like the watch. I like what they do. I like the heritage they got. This is going to be the heritage. It doesn't matter in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40,
yeah.
50 years. The
It really
Cubitus is
doesn't
going to be the
matter.
heritage of Patek. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
part of that heritage.
love it or
Just
hate it, it's going nowhere, and the brand's going
get
to
on with it.
survive and flourish. Get on with it. It's tough. There's your tough love from the Chrono Passion 7. It's just the
The
reality.
CP7. This has been a tough love session from the Chrono Passion
Yeah,
7 podcast.
that's it. Do we have time for any more topics, or do we need to round it up?
I think we need to. I think we've rambled on enough.
The
We had a few
Cubitus,
more topics lined up
we did.
actually, but I think we've probably, I wouldn't say bored you enough. No, we've
Rambled.
entertained. Yeah, we've entertained and enthused you enough with our views on weather, television, and watches.
Cubitus. Yeah, we hope so. But we'll be back again with many more topics. I am sure. So
Yeah, and also we will have a whole load of shout outs in the next show because we've met, having been at these shows, we've met so many people and we want to shout them out because they're all cool. We met them in Geneva. I've met them in London. Everyone on every level. Next show, the Watch Pro show, we'll give
Be a
all those guys a
dedicated
shout
show.
out. Yeah, really good. Really enjoyed meeting everyone and talking to everyone and seeing everything.
Top quality people. We met over while I was at Watch Pro, and then I'm sure for Palm as well through the week as well. Just
mad watch week. Yeah,
it's been absolutely insane. In general, if it wasn't like the event, like the Watch Pro event, and then the events that you've been going to, it's just been madness with guests, and yeah, things are looking good, I'd say, over here. At the moment, we're just so busy, and we hope you've enjoyed just the two of us today, and there'll be many more cool guest shows coming very, very soon.
Let us know in the comments what you think of these kind of unplugged chat. This is an unplugged show. I think we're going to do quite a minimal edit on it, if any. And yeah, let us know what you think of the guest shows. Let us know what you think of our shows. And have we got the right balance or have we not? Let us know in the comments at www.chronopassion7.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, please let us know. At the end of the day, that's why we do this, right? For you, our listeners. So thank you so much for listening to our mad ramblings about everything from weather to random TV shows and movies and the hot topic. And even though we're a little late to the Patek party, we've given our final thoughts around that. So with that being said, absolute pleasure as always from here in Barcelona. So that is adios and hasta luego. And yeah, I'll speak to you all very soon.
And as Andy says, farewell from Barcelona. From London, it is Toodle Pip and laters. And we'll see you and you'll hear us in the next one.